Fusing elements of country, pop, and jazz, singer-songwriter Norah Jones has been a prominent part of the 2000s music scene, where she has been regarded as one of the top artists of the decade. Her level of versatility, experimentation, and confident songwriting has led her through a successful and colorful career, as well as an abundance of admiration from her contemporaries. Now, entering her third decade in music, Norah Jones has achieved heights that those double her age could wish for. Jones had a childhood defined by music, whether it be what her mother was listening to or which instrument lesson she had on that day. It was not surprising though, as music ran through her genetics. Her mother, Sue Jones, was a concert producer, and her father, Ravi Shankar, was a renowned musician. Her two siblings, Anushka and Shubhendra Shankar, have both dedicated their careers to music too. Whilst Jones was born in Manhattan, she spent much of her upbringing in Texas after her parents split when she was 7. Jones grabbed the opportunities around her to perform and practice her art, from singing at church to being in a school band and playing the saxophone. In her school years, she received awards from Downbeat, a magazine specializing in jazz music. Upon attending North Texas State University, where she studied jazz piano, Norah Jones dropped out after 2 years, kickstarting her career with a move to Manhattan instead. The horizon of a new century was quickly dawning at the time of Jones's new beginnings, starting off in the simmering potential of the underground scene. Much of her time was spent as a lounge singer. Here, Jones made musical connections and a local reputation for herself by performing at venues. This led to vital friendships with fellow musicians who would later become her backing band. A breakthrough happened in 2001 when Norah Jones had signed a deal with Blue Note Records. Prior to the first album, an EP named First Sessions was released and revealed Jones's very first recordings after her record deal. Its style was mostly jazz-infused piano and vocals with humble demo feel. The track Come Away With Me was a product of Norah Jones's songwriting talent, whilst the other songs were covers. When her debut album Come Away With Me came out in 2001, many of the songs from her EP were transformed into well-produced pieces. The album itself was a striking debut which shook the music world, with critics praising Jones's maturity, sincerity, and clever lyricism. Sonically, Come Away With Me is a dreamy mixture of soft acoustics, country chords, sultry piano keys, and husky vocals. The confident delivery of each instrument is so impressive that it comes as no surprise that a set of experienced jazz musicians, including Kevin Bright and Jenny Scheinman, were involved. One of the producers on the album, Jay Newland, was seen as a helpful choice for his experience in genres such as folk, country, and jazz. Consequently, Newland is seen as a pivotal component in Jones's finding of her signature sound. Gathering up her first string of Grammy Awards, Norah Jones ventured back into the studio to make her second album, Feels Like Home, in 2004. In his build-up, Jones had released a live album, formed a band named the Little Willies, and featured on the Peter Malick Group's New York City. A band would come to release their self-titled debut in 2006 and another in 2011, named For the Good Times. The project highlighted Norah Jones's fondness of her classic country music. Her sophomore record, however, was another demonstration of all the styles Jones grew up with, adding her self-assured twist on it. The opening, Sunrise, is a gorgeous, folky love song of contentment, singing, "Sunrise, sunrise, looks like morning in your eyes." Jones starts her day with the bright glow of her lover who lifts her up in the same way a sunny day does. Whilst Jones does contribute significantly to the writing process of the album, much of its credit goes to Lee Alexander, who is the member of the Little Willies. Alexander wrote the delicious country track, Creepin' In, and features legend Dolly Parton. His country sensibility is washed throughout the lyrics, embracing the easygoing living. Feels Like Home became a commercial success, selling over 1 million copies in its first week in the US alone. Today, the album sits alongside other iconic works from the likes of Adele and Taylor Swift for its first week sales. Solidifying herself as a household name, Norah Jones collaborated with Ray Charles on the classic country song Here We Go Again. It was undeniable Jones had much momentum under her belt. 3 years after her last album, Jones brought Not Too Late, a collection of songs which had Jones's input in one degree or another. This brought a new dimension of intimacy to the lyrics. The lead single, Thinking About You, is a ballad tinged with faint trumpets and playful yet gentle guitar notes. It is a direct, explicit address to a lover, with Jones singing, "So when you sail across the ocean waters and you reach the other side safely, could you smile a little smile for me? 'Cause I'll be thinking about you." Bringing intimate feelings of longing, the song is a request for reassurance, despite all distance, that she will be remembered and that her love will remain as strong. The album is a quintessential example of Jones's warm, comforting, and gentle approach to her art, revealing everyday thoughts and scenarios that are appropriate for all playlists. And following her third album, Norah Jones made her film debut with My Blueberry Nights, directed by Wong Kar-wai in 2007. Jones starred as the lead part of Elizabeth in this romantic drama, which critics praised. Since she has featured in other films, mostly as herself, but also in the independent film What Do Dem, directed by Ben Chase and Sam Fleishner in 2009. 5 more albums have been released too since 2007, with the most recent in 2020. Although the works are distinctively Norah Jones, they dabble in other genres such as pop, indie, and rock. Much of her production team in these latter albums are newer collaborations for Jones and thus explain the shift in her style. For example, Little Broken Hearts is often regarded as a significant stray from her usual sound and was born out of collaborations with producer Danger Mouse. Again, Norah Jones has involved herself in a variety of projects, from featuring in a song with Green Day's Billie Joe Armstrong to featuring on the Hank Williams project. Jones is a well-admired artist for other musicians. She has gathered a reputation which had provided her with many opportunities to branch off into an array of different environments and genres. Nonetheless, Norah Jones has not sacrificed her own sound that led her to stardom in the first place. Continuing to write and release music for admiring fans, Norah Jones remains a singer and songwriter that many regard as a favorite of theirs. You can check out the Carly of Spotify to listen to the original tracks of the artist. It's a curated playlist with the most popular songs.